This is Body, Brain, and Pain. I'm Erin Babineau.
And I'm Michelle Steggy.
We are two doctors of physical therapy and orthopedic specialists here to have an approachable and courageous conversation about pain and our bodies that will be forever changing and aging.
This podcast is for everyone, not just medical providers. The better you understand pain, the more control you gain. Welcome back, everyone. Erin and Michelle here. During our last episode, we started the conversation of how we think about pain and why this matters. And so today is part 2 of that conversation. And we wanted to provide specific examples of how physical therapy is helping people change the way they think about pain and applying it to their day-to-day life with movements and specific routines. And so if we can start to heal our thought process, it can actually change the way we recover.
And that was kind of our goal of part 1, was recognizing and empathizing with a lot of this can be kind of confusing at first, but we now want to provide you the hope of okay, great, let's change our perception in a positive way of how pain is information and give patients and people that control back, because there's a lot of good things out there. And this is what physical therapy is. It's literally our job is to show you how to use your body to feel those changes. So, and your brain too. Right. And we have so much research to back this up. There's a really cool study that I'm going to have Michelle talk about that literally shows how we can change our perception of pain and what it means and how it actually changes that output message from our brain, our body's pain response. So what is this study?
Yeah, so it's a really cool study. It was a case study, and we'll provide the reference to it if you guys are interested in looking into it. So it used an fMRI, which is a functional MRI. So technically they're looking at the brain in real time. And so they did this study. They did an fMRI before and after a session of pain education. So the patient was experiencing low back pain. And so they looked at the pain centers in the brain before and after this pain education session. And the really cool thing was that they actually saw a decrease in activity of these pain centers after one session of pain education. And so that is basically what you're doing right now, listening to our podcast, is you're learning about pain, and that is helping to change your perception of pain. And that's super powerful. That can change the way we think about the things that we do. That can change how fearful we are of specific movements, and that's super exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that that person literally did no other intervention and had a decrease in their levels of back pain. And so that's just how powerful using pain as information and how it can actually change our body's pain response, which is cool. So one example that I have in clinic this week of us doing this is I had a patient who had 20 years of low back pain. And generally we know low back pain is really common. And it's not fun to feel, but 99.9% of the time it's not emergent, and we do get people through it. And this individual had low back pain for 20 years due to a herniated disc that he had 20 years ago. And right away, I had to give him some pain neuroscience of, I empathize with that herniated disc. I want to give you the positive of this though. Most discs consolidate and heal, which is newer science, but pretty cool. Yeah. So the pain that you're feeling is going to be multifactorial. So this is a good thing. Let's figure out today in our session what is causing that discomfort. Is it the way you're moving, the way you're thinking about this, and also checking in with your body to feel changes. So it was empathizing with that patient that their back pain was real. It's not fun to see an image like that, but also that, that herniated disc was healing and isn't scary anymore. And a lot of their pain that they're feeling was, their nervous system getting protective over time because they've
Mm-hmm.
had back pain for that amount of time. And in their brain, they were viewing that part of their back as damaged when really we know that pain is information and, you know, a feedback to your body that how you're doing something's not working.
Yep.
So anyways, this patient was like, man, this feels great. I don't feel broken anymore. It feels great that I no longer feel like I have a herniated disc. And he had hope. So again, his perception changed. And he was doing awesome exercises, but he also was viewing his back pain as always the same. His disc bulge was always there.
Yeah.
So I had to teach him how to check in with his body to show that he can make changes in his day to day. So his was flexing forward was his biggest aggravator, or sitting a long time. So we were doing a lot of things to stretch out his low back, and I was doing some manual therapy to help him do that. And then I literally made him check in with himself in that flex forward movement over and over again. And
Yep.
throughout that session, he was like, "Oh wow, yeah, my pain is changing. This is pretty
And that's good.
crazy," and that's good. And again, he was doing the right things, but we changed his perception of that pain wasn't scary. His back was really strong. There was nothing damaged anymore. And then that check in of you were doing the right things, but how were you doing them? And
Yeah.
were you checking in with your back to make sure you were, giving yourself that pat on the back that you
Mm-hmm.
were making changes? So that
Yep.
body check in and that acknowledgement of change and range of motion for him was huge because by
Mm-hmm.
the end of a 40-minute session, he had no back pain.
That's awesome.
And he had
I
back
love
pain for
that.
20 years. So,
Yeah.
and it's not always that way. Some things take time,
Yeah.
but it was a pretty awesome moment of, again, changing his perception, giving some good pain neuroscience, and recognizing the multifactorial, and also that check in was so big for him.
Yeah, definitely. That's super cool. So I have another example. So this one was a guy, middle-aged construction worker, had a history of recurrent low back pain. So he wasn't always having this back pain, but he would continue to have these episodes of pain that would last for, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. And so in his job, he's doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of bending and things like that. And was really really concerned about the way that he was lifting, and so he showed me the way that he was lifting, and he like would pick stuff up from the ground and would like not move his back was
Mm-hmm.
like stiff as a board, standing up completely upright. And so we talked about the fact that with bending from the floor to actually get the most power and use our body to the best of its strength abilities, it's actually better to do more of this deadlift where we're hinging from our hips. People tend to, and I explained to him, people tend to see this as a really scary and bad movement.
Right.
And so we had the conversation that actually, no, deadlifting is the best way that you can
Right.
lift something from the floor, but it's a matter of how you're doing that, and
Right.
making sure that you're using those leg muscles as you're doing this movement. So
Because he
a
was
lot
scared
of
of the pain, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I
exactly.
think a
Yep.
lot of people associate deadlifting with back pain and being
Yeah.
bad for their back.
Right.
And that may be the case if you're not doing it well. And
Mm-hmm.
so a deadlift can be a great exercise for the backsides of your legs, hamstrings, glutes, and if you're not doing it properly, that's when a lot of people will end up overusing their back and
Yeah.
running into problems. But us just having this conversation of like, this movement shouldn't be scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of making sure that you're using the correct muscles to do
Yeah.
it.
Right.
And so we had him go through that movement after with, throughout the session, doing it without weight, then adding a little bit of weight and cueing him so that he's using those correct muscles. And he made a huge change in how it felt the first time that we did it without any cues, him just kind of moving the way that he normally does, and
Mm-hmm.
then doing it after all of this education and practice. And it was a substantial difference. And it was super cool to watch how much confidence he gained, even just in that one session.
Right.
of
because you
changing the way he moved.
right, change the way you moved and thought, right? Like, I mean,
Yes. Yep.
you pain again, it's info. Um, it does not always mean damage. It's like, how are
Yeah.
you doing it? We need to change this. And then he had less pain, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So for both these patient examples, again, we changed their thought process of what pain was. So the back pain example, you know, the disc herniation, he was no longer damaged anymore, right? And same with your patient with the hinging. He was no longer scared of that movement. And then the application. So for my patient, it was, how was he doing the exercise and the check-in? And yours was, again, form and check-in. And with both of them, they had dramatically changed outcomes with
Yeah.
no pain within a session. So that's kind of our job as physical therapists, is creating new patterns of movement, using the correct muscles more often. And over time, your nervous system stops protecting since you changed your perception of pain. You got the correct info. And then you also were irritating tissue less and less because you now
Yeah.
had a better movement pattern. So,
And this stuff takes time. Those, both of the people that we talked about in these examples, they weren't 100% better in that one session.
right.
It takes time, it takes practice.
Yes.
We have to go over these things over and over again, and we have to give that repetitive input
Right.
to our body. Just like
Right.
any other habit, it takes time to make
Right.
those changes.
Right. And it was that mindfulness of movement. So they both
Yeah.
had that aha moment in that session, which was awesome. But then again, yeah, they're continuing that throughout their day to day.
Yep.
And, but they both had that moment of like how strong and amazing their bodies were. They just really
Right.
needed the right plan and right information again. And our bodies are really smart at giving us information. So using that is key. And that's why we always say in our sessions, especially after those moments with someone, that physical therapy is body awareness and application. So there's great exercises and we want you to do them right, but it's the application piece and the awareness that's huge. So
Yeah. And that's when we get those really exciting moments, is when those people see that and are on board with us, because that's when change really happens, which is super exciting.
Yeah,
And
it's-
everybody loves different types of movement. And so
Yeah.
that's where a PT also comes into play, is helping someone figure out what that looks like and how we get them to the next level.
right. And I always say with the, less is more, consistency is better.
Yeah.
So again, the specific exercise where they feel those changes and then know how to check in with their body, that's the medication, the daily meds they're getting through physical therapy. And it's, yeah, like you said, it's different for everyone. But God, we're so happy when people end up in our offices because there's so much hope, and it's so fun to see those people have that application piece and view pain as less scary and just
Yeah.
as information, and actually see that change in how they're moving throughout their day to day, and then obviously seeing them feel better throughout their day to day.
Yep.
So
We love it.
So
That's why we do what we do.
that's why we do what we do. So
Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us on this episode. We, again, wanted to give you some specific examples of how we think about pain and when we change that, how it matters for our recovery. So we hope you will join us again on our next episode, and have a great day.
thanks, everyone.